What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 2010 Pyromaniac.com Fantasy Outlook video for Terrell Owens. If you guys have been around our site for a while, you know we're not the biggest Terrell Owens fans. And I was one of the people that did not think he would go to Cincinnati, and he probably would not have ended up there if it had not been for Antonio Bryant's knee swelling up after OTAs. So, you know, Owens can thank him for that. And after he got signed last week, I didn't really know what to think. I think more than anything, I was a little pissed because I knew that he wouldn't be going to Cincinnati, and then he ends up there, and so I felt a little stupid about it. And he's got a big ego. He's been acting like an idiot on his show. Chad Ochocinco's show is stupid, and he's acting like an idiot. It just really turned me off to both those guys in terms of their fantasy value this year. But then I got to thinking, you know, yes, these guys are both into their early to mid-30s, but, you know, they're both still in really good physical condition. Got a pretty good quarterback who's going to be 2 years removed from hurting his knee. And that team, although we got to know them as a run-first team last year, you don't go out and get a tight end in the first round, a slot receiver later in the draft, you know, pay almost $30 million for Antonio Bryant, and now you bring in Terrell Owens. Not to mention, you know, they drafted another rookie wide receiver later in the draft. This team wants to pass again. In the playoff game against the Jets, their downfall was definitely the passing game. They couldn't get the ball going. Carson Palmer looked like crap, and it looks like the Bengals are making a commitment to pass again. And so here's the thing with Terrell Owens is, could he, you know, put up numbers like he did last year in Buffalo? Yeah, he definitely could. His numbers weren't very good. It was the first time in his career since his, you know, it was one of the first years in the season of his career that he didn't really put up great fantasy numbers. He did have a couple big games, but by the time he had those big games, you probably couldn't trust him. So he wasn't a guy that, you know, you probably started during those weeks when he had the big games. But here is the approach I'm taking with Terrell Owens. You know, he used to be my favorite player. As a Niners fan, I love the guy. He went from my favorite player to one of my least favorite players in a matter of one season. So I never really had the same love for him that I had back in the day. But, you know, I did have him on a couple teams when he played for the Cowboys. On my fantasy teams, he had great years, and it was, you know, it's hard not to root for him, you know, doing his get your popcorn ready when the guy's going off, getting, you know, good fantasy numbers. But here's the deal. I already mentioned that this is going to be the first time that these guys play with as good of a wide receiver in their career. Owens did play with Rice early in his career, but since Rice is going to be the best receiver that he's ever gone up played with, and Owens is definitely an upgrade over Hushmanzada, who is the best wide receiver that's gone opposite of Ochocinco. Now, could Terrell Owens bust? Yeah, it's always a possibility. Got a lot of egos and troublemakers on that team, so it could be, you know, a huge implosion. I'm sure there's a lot of us out there that are rooting for that. I would be lying if I said that I didn't want to see that in a way also. And the only saving grace, in my opinion, is Carson Palmer, who I do like, so I know that he's got a lot to deal with. But what if we're wrong? What if Terrell Owens goes off and has a huge year? What is going to make you more mad? Or I ask myself, what would make me more mad? To have draft Owens and see him flop and, you know, take satisfaction that he is going out like a bust and it's probably his last time to play and the last time we have to put up with his antics? Or do I pick him and have him go off and have a great season and be like, yeah, I don't really like the guy, but he's putting up mad fantasy points for me, so, you know, I'll deal with, you know, the sideshow. That's basically the approach that I'm taking. I didn't take Owens in any of my early draft leagues before he signed with the team, just because, you know, if he ended up someplace like Seattle, I didn't want any part of him. So for those that drafted Owens, you know, they probably got him at a really good value. I know in one of my drafts, I got him in the 17th round, and that's, you know, a damn steal at this point. But moving forward with Owens, as you know, in PPR leagues in the 6th round, you know, that's the beginning of where I would target him. You could do a lot worse as a third wide receiver. This reminded me a lot of the Randy Moss situation when he was moving from the Raiders to the Patriots. You know, everybody thought that he was done. He doesn't really play hard anymore. You know, the Patriots weren't that dynamic of a passing offense before that year. And, you know, you could have got Randy Moss, you know, in the, you know, 4th or 5th round that year, and he obviously put up, you know, one of the best, no, not one of the best seasons ever put up by a wide receiver before. So, damn, sorry, I kicked you out 3 times. Sorry about that. So, basically the approach that I'm taking is you can get Owens as a low-risk value in the 6th or 7th round. I know there's a lot of you guys out there, including myself, that picked a guy like Anthony Gonzalez or Eddie Royal that busted out in the 5th or 6th round last year. So you could definitely do a lot worse. I'm basically taking the approach of, you know, I'll grab Owens as my 3rd wide receiver. Maybe I'll grab another guy, you know, a round or 2 later, like Devin Hester or Malcolm Floyd. And that way, if Owens does bust, I've got a decent backup to play my wide receiver 3. And if he goes off and performs like a wide receiver 2, or maybe even a wide receiver 1, facing, you know, single coverage with Ocho on the other side, it's going to go down as a great value. So, got a little long-winded on the Owens here, but I think there's a lot of aspects to cover regarding him. So, if you don't like Owens, you don't want to pick him, hey, I can't blame you. If you don't like Owens, but you don't want to not own Owens and have him go off and have a good season like me, then, you know, take him as a safety valve pick. That's it for Owens. Make sure you guys get to Pyromaniac.com and download our draft kit. It's only $7.50. You get over 200 player preview profiles, pros and cons of each player, little art, offensive line previews, really good value for your buck. Get you ready for your draft, give you the edge that you're going to need, and yeah, help you dominate your fantasy football leagues. Also, make sure you bookmark our new site, the Fantasy Football Pharmacy, ffpharmacy.com. It's awesome. We've got already over 100 stories up on there, and we haven't even launched yet. So depending when you watch this video, go there, bookmark it, or go and check it out as we've launched. You guys on Twitter, we're always dropping tweets. You can give us a follow at Pyromaniac with a 1 instead of an I, or you can follow me personally at PyroLion, Pyro_Lion. Thanks a lot for checking out one of our videos. Thanks for bearing with me kicking the camera, and good luck this season. We're here for you guys, and we are going to help you whoop that ass, baby.